So dear students, welcome to second PUC biology class. We are studying the unit ecology. In that the chapter that we are going to study is organisms and population. In that, today's topic that we are going to study is adaptations. So in the earlier classes, some of the concepts that we have studied regarding adaptation. Adaptation, the definition is morphological, physiological, and behavioral attribute that enables an organism to survive and reproduce in its habitat. Many adaptations have evolved over a long evolutionary time and are genetically fixed so that the organisms are surviving. One of the adaptation that we are going to study is kangaroo rat. This we have studied in the previous class regarding the kangaroo rat. And the second example that we have studied is the cactus, how the cactus is able to survive in the desert place. That also we have studied. And today we are going to study one of the mammal that is going to survive in the desert place. What makes this animal to survive in the desert place? One of the example that we are going to study is camel. Camel is commonly called the sheep of desert because this is the animal which can survive without water, without food for many days in the desert place. As you all know, desert place, very least amount of water is available as well as the food. So what makes the camel to survive over the place? Some of the adaptations that the camel has undergone that makes it to live in the desert place. Let us see what are the different types of adaptations that the camel has undergone. One of that is the camel has hump on its back. When we look at it, camel, peculiar character it is having. That is, it is having hump. Some of the camels will be having one hump. Some of the camels will be having two humps. What makes the camel to survive in the desert places? It is having the hump on its back. We were having the misconception that when we are small, the hump stores the food that we have studied, but actually not. The hump, which is there in the for the camel, it stores the fat content. As you all know, the fat will give us the energy later on whenever the body is in need. Reserve food is there in the fat, and that will give whenever the body is in need of energy, the dissolution of the fat takes place, releasing out the energy, water, like so on. So fat deposition takes place at the hump region, so that the animal can live without food for longer period of time whenever it is starvation, whenever it is hungry, whenever it is in need of food material, whenever it is need of energy. It will get it from the hump region. The fat which is present at the hump region is taken it, so that if the food is, even if the food is not available in the desert place, it can survive for many days. Another character when you look at the camel is long legs they have. Long legs they have, so that whatever the sunlight that is falling on the ground is reflecting back, it should not touch to the body. If it is having very small legs, it will easily touches to the body. So another adaptation that the camel has undergone is it is having the longer legs. That makes the camel to survive. Another character that the camel is having is short ears, so that the temperature must not enter into the body of the living organism. It's having short ears. You look at the foot of the camel, broader foot they have, because as you know, desert place is having the sand. As the foot is broader, so that whenever it keeps on the sand, it will not go deep. Therefore, the camel is having broader foot, so that it will not go deep, so that it will not get the heat. Therefore, broader foot the camel is having, and it has a shorter tail, so that temperature is should not reach. Camel has shorter tail. It has thick skin to tolerate the temperature of the desert place. Thick skin is there. It has a long neck because it can easily get the food from the trees also. Whenever the food is not available on the ground, if somewhere else plants are there, it can stretch its neck to grab the food material. These are the some of the adaptations that the camel has undergone. Therefore, camel is able to survive in the desert place. Hump on its back, long legs it has, short ears it is having, broader foot it is having, shorter tail it is having, thick skin it is having, long neck is having. So these are the characters that it has developed for the adaptation in the desert place that makes the camel to survive. And another one more example that we are going to study is the seal. As you know, mammals from the colder climates, the seal is living in the colder climates, have shorter ears and limbs to reduce the heat loss, because when you see the camel, it is having longer legs so that the heat should not reach to the body. When you look at the seal as an example, which is living in the colder climate condition, they have shorter ears and legs so that heat should not lose from the body. To reduce the heat loss, the animals are having shorter ears and the limbs. That is called the Allen's rule. Aquatic mammals like the seals have thick layer of fat called the blubber below the skin, so that even if their body is producing the heat, the thick layer will stop coming out of the body to the atmosphere, because surrounding to the atmosphere there is less amount of heat is present. Their body is able to produce more amount of heat that should not come to the atmosphere. Therefore, it is being stopped by the very thick fat layer called the blubber, and it acts as an insulator to reduce the body heat. That makes the seal to survive over the colder places. Another, some of the physiological and biochemical adaptations that we see is the bacteria. Archaebacteria. There are different types: Archaebacteria, Eubacteria, Cyanobacteria. There are different types. One of the group called the Archaeobacteria are found in the hot springs, deep oceans. So where the temperature is more than 100 degrees Celsius, in that place also the organism can survive. One group of the bacteria called Archaebacteria, it can survive even more than 100 degrees Celsius. And if you take the example of the fish, many fish thrive in Antarctic waters. Temperature is below 0 degrees Celsius. That means the temperature is a minus degree Celsius. Many marine invertebrates and fishes live at great depths in the ocean where temperature is greater than 100 times than the normal atmospheric pressure. Such places also, these animals can survive because physiological and biochemical adaptations that they have undergone. Now coming to the human being, the person who is living in the high altitude, slight difference will be there in the physiological and biochemical. Chemically, when we see, some of the changes, developments have been taken place compared to the person who is living normally on the ground. At a high altitude places where the height is more than 3,500 meters, we feel altitude sickness. Its symptoms are nausea, heart palpitation, fatigue. This is because of the reason, as we move from ground to the higher and higher level, the atmospheric pressure is low, reduces. The availability of oxygen reduces. So the body does not get enough oxygen content. As I move from ground to the higher level, like mountain, if I go, where that places the availability of oxygen is being reduced because of pressure, gravity also. Then gradually my body develops. to cope up with the surrounding environment, automatically my body develops gradually, and body compensate the low oxygen supply by increasing the number of RBCs. By producing more number of RBCs in the body, it will compensate the supply of the low oxygen, and breathing rate and decreasing the binding capacity of the hemoglobin. By this way, the person can survive when he moves to the high altitude places. This is also one of the physiological and biochemical adaptation that undergone by the human being. If you see, there is one more type of adaptation that we can see is behavioral adaptation. When you see the desert lizard in the picture, you can see the lizard. The speciality of this desert lizard is it will bask in the sun and absorb heat when their body temperature is low. When the body temperature goes down during the winter seasons, it will come out, bask in the sun and get the sun rays, and at the same time moves to the shady area when the temperature is more. So this is one of the behavioral adaptation that the desert lizard has undergone. Some of these species are capable of burrowing into the soil and hide to escape from the harsh climatical condition. So these are the some of the animals which they undergone the adaptation to survive. So in the next classes, we are going to study regarding the population. Thank you all of you.